Okay, welcome everyone. We are happy to have you all here. We also have German on the channel that you may choose, but the rest of the session will be in English. And we're happy to have you all here on this panel organized by MEDA. I'll turn things over to Dorothy Nyambi, the MEDA President and CEO.
Yeah, thank you very much, Carol. And again, a warm welcome and good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. You know, we're really excited to welcome you all to this panel during the Mennonite World Conference. It's been 2 years plus of COVID. And for some of us, it's really exciting to have the opportunity to be on the ground here in Indonesia. And before we start, we just want to take the opportunity to say a big thank you to the organizers and everyone on the ground who's been doing a lot to pull the logistics to make this hybrid conference take place. So without much ado, the MEDA group, you know, what we're going to do for this panel is first a little bit to talk about, you know, who we are as MEDA, but really very briefly. But it is to highlight, you know, the work, a little bit about the work that we do, but also to be able to share, you know, what has happened over the past 2 years, but not in terms of who we are as MEDA, but really by bringing, you know, some of our partners, some of our clients, some other people who are in business, you know, and I will let them introduce themselves, you know, when that time comes. When we think about COVID, you know, and I just want to provide a little bit of context here. When we think about COVID and what has happened over the past 2 years, for MEDA, it has been a time of a lot of reflection. It has been a time of actually thinking how we do the work that we do. But it has also been a time for us as an organization that focuses a lot on agri-food systems, food security, hunger, growth, and agriculture. It has been a time for us to say, what are some of the big things that have actually been affected, you know, because of COVID? And a lot of those people we work with are smallholder farmers, aggregators, small business people, some of whom you are going to hear from here on this panel. And a few things or 3 things came to mind that were really affected by COVID. So number one, the market changed and the market shrank overnight. Number 2, supplies. Supplies became much more difficult and expensive to obtain. And number 3, finance became less accessible, even though we needed it more. So I'm not going to go into the details of all of these things, but as an organization and who we are and what we do, those were 3 big things that shifted almost overnight, you know, because of COVID. So for our panel this evening or this morning or today, we have some very special guests. And we're going to hear from a MEDA partner, you know, Veronica Herrera, who is the executive director of Mi Credito, based out of Nicaragua, and she's in Central and Latin America. We're going to be hearing from Hadija Jabri. She's the managing director of, I'll call a horticulture aggregator. I'll let her explain it to you herself. And I'm really delighted that we'll also be hearing from Sunoko Lin, who is the Chief Financial Officer for Trace Worldwide Corporation. And I'm going to let each person, when they get an opportunity to be able to present in terms of the background of the organization, who they are, the background of the organization, the impact of COVID on their clients and their clients' growth, and, you know, what else they can help to inform, you know, all those who are listening in today and who want to participate in terms of what have they learned and, you know, what advice or counsel do they have. So I'm going to, without much ado, start with Micredito. And I'm going to pass it over to you, Veronica, and ask you first to please kindly introduce yourself, and then, talk a little bit to us about how Micredito has been weathering the COVID storm and how you're actually coming out on the other side, hopefully thriving. So Veronica, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Thank you, Dorothy, and thank you for inviting me. I'm going to share my screen because I have a small presentation. It's easy to move around this. Let's see. Do you see my screen or not?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay,
But
that's perfect.
put it in presentation mode.
Sorry, Dorothy.
If you now we're good.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Well, as my name is Veronica Herrera, it's my pleasure to share our experience in this past 2 years that we have been through. I'm going before to talk a little bit about the history of Micredito, who we are. We are MEDA, but you are going to see later what kind of service we are doing. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Technolink because it's a MEDA project in Nicaragua. What is the social impact and financial impact that we are serving in our microfinance organization? And then I'm going to stop in the COVID and the action plan that we did and share some experience that we had been doing and a small conclusion. Let me reduce here, I think, yeah. Micredito was a start for MEDA years ago in the 19 called Chispa. It was the first beginning organization and then became as a regulated institution in 2003 and 2004, we create Micredito with more focus in the rural area, support by MEDA, of course. We decide to start and focus in the rural area. That's Micredito start. In fact, in this month, we are in birthday, 18th birthday year that we have already. And then in 2012, we became as a regulated institution by the Comisión Nacional of Microfinance, that is the regulation organization. And now we are operating in Costa Rica. Later, I'm going to explain what we are doing in Costa Rica. And we create also the holding code because we want to become our institution in a regional organization. That's a little bit about the history. Let me see, something happened here. Yeah, who we are. This is our mission, a little bit. We create business solutions to include our client, both social and finance, to provide better, prosperous future. And our vision is to become as a regional organization, as I mentioned before, in Central America, not just in Nicaragua. This is our currently structure. The holding corporation is established in Panama, and the big project that we have, or the biggest organization, is Nicaragua, and the largest shareholder is MEDA. MEDA started, as I mentioned before. What we are doing in Costa Rica, we are service refugee, especially Nicaraguan, because the diaspora started in 2018. So we have in Costa Rica a lot of Nicaraguan people living there, and we service especially refugees. And then we have another institution called MC System to support all the operation. Everything in Micredito is digital, since we start an application from the clients. That is our structure. And how big we are, at this point, we have 100 employees between Costa Rica and Nicaragua, 14 branches in Nicaragua and 1 in Costa Rica. We have more than 10,000 clients, make micro, small loans, especially. And at this point, we have $19 million in portfolio between Nicaragua plus Costa Rica. What kind of service we have? We make especially loans, refugee loans, as I mentioned in Costa Rica. And then we have to empower women. We have one entrepreneur loans, kind of specific loans. And then we have agriculture loans. Sanitation is one of our priority right now, education loans, and micro small loan that typical microfinance had been doing. Also, we have in alliance with Habitat for Humanity home improvement loans. And then there are another service like remittances, insurance, bill payment, and another kind of service that our client is demanding. This is TechnoLinks. TechnoLinks is my honor to present. TechnoLinks is supported by MEDA. 3 years ago, we made this new initiative, new product. At this point, we service 225 farmers in the very, very rural area, and we invest around $438,000. What kind of service we made this? Through the alliance with MEDA, we provide loans to buy technology like irrigation system, like motor pumps, that kind of thing to improve the capacity of the producer in the rural area. This is a very successful business or for our client. This is in general the impact that we have been doing with MEDA. We had at this moment 13,000 loan for women, 1,668 for education, 6.3 thousand for prevent healthcare service in Nicaragua, 1,174 loans for sanitation, and we have also for home improvement 5,133. And also we have solar energy, but I don't want to spend a little bit more. This is the big part of this panel. How impact Mi Crédito and our client? Well, we when the pandemic come, we became scared at the beginning. It was like in shock. What happened here? The world is changes. It's happening something that is happening soon, but we try to focus one that is the first two group box centered on the client. If we made with the client very close, if we work really close with the client, we are successful. That's one. The second objective that we did during the COVID, it was our employees and maintain the sustainability of our organization as a MFI in Nicaragua. And then we work really close, is the last box in yellow, with the regulator, with the government, because it's really important to maintain this connection during the different crises. In the pandemic, it was like that. A little bit with more detail, what kind of things we did during the pandemic. Well, when the crisis come, the creativity also come. And we create a new product to service our client, not only for micro small loan, if we ask for health, we create alliance through one of the biggest organization, MAFRE, is an insurance company. We call Medifone. That was the product that we create in the middle of the pandemic. We say our client was really scared to come from the field to our office, or from the field or from the rural area to take a bus or any transportation. So they don't want to be together, you know. So we create Medifone. Is just a kind of phone call to receive attention. In microfinance, in my country, most of the clients that we service, they don't have insurance health. They don't have opportunity to receive health in a private. So we create this, if the client make a phone call or like WhatsApp, and they receive some instruction or some ideas to attend this medicine problem. The second aspect that we work with the clients in our office, when the clients come, we try to put social distance, putting something to wash their hands. Thermometry is another thing that we trying to put to protect our client. But also because it was COVID very new, we don't know about this. So we investigate and put in some information in WhatsApp. Every day, every week, we send message to WhatsApp, through WhatsApp, to our client to create orientation about this new pandemic, because the client was really in shock. What happened here? So we try to make some orientation with a medical, a doctor in our office, send a list, and every week we send a SMS or WhatsApp to our client. That's in the health area. In the finance, we make some restructuring loan, we made some reduction on the interest rate to pass this storm, because at the beginning we say we have to pass this storm. It's coming soon or it takes time, but we have to be together with the client. Also, we create new initiative to collect their repayment. We say, well, you should reinvent your business. For example, if someone make church or any kind of club, we suggest to make masks, and they move very fast because they want to continue their life, you know. And also we offer delivery service, that kind of thing, to protect our client. We change the methodology that they pay, and through the digitalization, we create new application, and by WhatsApp or by phone or SMS, to trying to, the client doesn't take a bus or any other transportation because it could be dangerous for their health and their family. That's, in our case, we say clients is on the center. Client is our priority. And that's what we are working really close with the client. The second aspect that is in the middle of this presentation is our employees, because there were a lot of employees, 50% of our employees became sick. How you work a microfinance institution if they are sick? So we say we have to protect our employees. Most of the employees work from their home. We create digital communication, phone call, Zoom meeting, and that's things trying to protect our employees and create some package to send to their house, like mask, alcohol, medicine, that kind of thing. And we put inside of our organization one doctor to check every employees, to receive a phone call and send a package of medicine for COVID. And then we promote the vaccine, because in Nicaragua, the vaccine was really a challenge, believe me. The first group was the people more than 60 years old. And our employees, most of them are between 24 to 40 years. So it was really scary to know that our employees doesn't receive a vaccine. So we create a group to send to Costa Rica to get the vaccine, another group in Honduras, trying to protect our employees. And then we have to protect our finance, our institution. And that side, we create good communication with shareholders, non-holder, lenders, and we follow really close our main indicator, liquidity, cash, any big ratios. And then we have the last part of our strategy was to communicate with the regulated. That's how is the impact? At the end, we see the number, the total of the client that was affecting for the directly with the COVID, it was 643 clients, and we made disbursement around $1 million to their continue their life. And here we have one of the we created during the pandemic. It was a kind of when you call for pizza or any food, it was very similar. The client called to the call center. The call center received the information and sent to the driver. The driver run to the clients to take the cash and make that receive without paper, just through the mobile. And then with SMF, the client receive kind of digital receive. And then we have a server in our office receiving the same information that we have in our mobile and our cell phone. And then we have the final transaction in Mi Crédito. This was created immediately during the pandemic because the client was really scared to take any public transportation. And I would like to say thank you very much, MEDA, because we start, as I mentioned before, with MEDA in the beginning of 19, and then we create finance solution and contribute for the population living in the vulnerable area. Support we receive from MEDA, also technical support and assistance for the agriculture. So thank you very much.
No, thank you so much, Veronica, for just walking us through as a financial institution with the sudden onset of COVID. And before I pass it to the other panelists, I just want to ask you a couple of questions.
Yeah, sure.
The first one has to do with the clients all had businesses they were running. And so those businesses had come to a standstill. So what happened? How did you navigate the fact that either people were not able to go to their farm or sell their produce to be able to honor the loans and the capital that they had taken? How did you manage that?
Well, we create an application to, for example, WhatsApp. It was a very, very useful tool and it's not expensive. So through WhatsApp, we send, for example, if some client want to pay, they send a WhatsApp and we can collect the money. If the client need a new loan in the middle of the crisis, for example, they said, I need a new loan, but I don't want to go into your office. It's too dangerous to go outside of my home. We decide to create an application through the website. They can go and they can make the application through this website and we receive, and then we visit. The dangerous increase in our employees because every single loan has to visit in their home, every single. So it was, we protect with some especially clothes to visit the client. And our employees are really creative. They create a small purse to put the cash there and take it. It was like, how can I pay? They put very close and take the cash, but they don't want to touch. But it was not easy. It was not easy. I don't want to say it was easy. But the worst part is when the client decreased their sale. It was really, really heavy because we say, if they lost the capacity, how can we manage this? That's why we suggest to reinvent their business. For example, if they have to make let's see, if they sell, for example, shoes, we suggest to sell mask, that kind of thing. That if you sell any other food, we suggest sell alcohol, that is increasing in that crisis. That's what we suggested to do then the client, but it was really, really, really scary.
Okay. No, thank you so much, Veronica, because I think what I'm hearing is that, as a financial institution, you put your clients at the center, your people at the center, but, you were working with everybody in a holistic manner to help them pivot, as needed, or to look at businesses that were thriving during the pandemic and, how they could actually leverage that. So it's really good to hear now, not ask all the questions so that maybe participants will have a chance to ask some questions. So thank you so much for that really great presentation. So I'm going to move over to Hadija. And Hadija is based in Tanzania. And Hadija, you run GBRI, and I'm going to let you talk about it. And when I met with you 2 years ago, in Tanzania, it was really exciting for me to see a young female Tanzanian who graduated from university, and you decided to go out to the middle of Tanzania and create employment, for all these women farmer, cultural, produce growers, and you were aggregating, you were exporting a lot, and then boom, suddenly came COVID. So Hadija, let me pass it over to you so you can introduce yourself and, just talk to us about the impact on the pandemic on your clients on both sides, the supply side and the demand side. And then what are some of the lessons that you learned and how did you pivot? So Hadija, over to you.
Thank you so much. It's such a great honor for me to join everyone tonight. And yeah, so my name is Hadija. Unfortunately, I don't have background in agriculture, but for the past 7 years, have been involved in agriculture. I founded a company which is called GBRI Business Solutions. It's the company which I have been managing since then up to this moment. And what we are doing is actually growing, adding value and marketing horticultural produce. It started with marketing horticultural produce in the local market for the first 2 years in business. Then later on, from 2017, we saw a huge opportunity in export business, and we decided to go into export business since 2017. When we approached the export business, unfortunately, we learned the market required volumes, but also the market wanted a good quality, of course. And because we were not able to supply the volume which was needed, considering the fact our company was very small at that particular moment, then we thought it was the right thing to do to involve other smallholder farmers around Southern Highlands. So we started working with farmers in a way. We were signing contracts with them. We were training them on good agronomic practices, just making sure they are able to grow vegetables meeting export standards. Then we were buying their vegetables, adding value, and exporting to international markets, specifically European countries, where at that time we were exporting to the Netherlands, to Germany, we're exporting to Ireland as well, and the UK. And the business was really good, I would say. We were having a really good reaction in terms of our customers. We had customers who were very much interested in what we were doing until 2020, when COVID came. And I would say COVID came in a way we never anticipated, that there was a time when COVID will definitely come and everything will stop. For us, 2020 was a year when we thought business was now taking off. We had support from MEDA, and we invested in infrastructures, cold storage infrastructures, We engaged more farmers. Of course, with MEDA support, we managed to get 300 more women smallholder farmers. So we were sure that we could get supply from our smallholder farmers, but also MEDA supported us with the market side. We were able to go to Europe, secure contracts with our customers. So when COVID came, actually, it really hit us in a way. We were now pushed to stop the business, and we were out of business completely for 8 months. And for us at that particular moment, our employees the health of our employees happened to be our #1 priority. And then we said, actually, the business will have to stop for a while. We had no cash flows. As you mentioned, Dorothy, when you were initiating this conversation, financiers were also not willing to risk their money at that particular moment because it was very uncertain. No one knew what would happen tomorrow morning. So we could not get funding from everyone who was at least promising us that they would support us. We closed our business, and the reason why we had to close, of course, most of our customers in Europe, they were in lockdown, and some of them actually, they have never been able to get back to their business until this moment. And with the nature of our business, we used to get packaging materials from our neighboring country. So it was very hard. Logistics became very difficult. Cost also went really up, and it was not possible for us to get inputs from the neighboring country, as well as there was restrictions. Flights were no longer coming to Tanzania. As a matter of fact, we were using passengers' flights to export our produce. So everything had to stop at that particular moment. But they say every challenge comes with the opportunities. And for us, of course, the moment when we closed the business, one thing we promised ourselves is we did not want to fire anyone. We wanted to keep our employees. Of course, with our outgrowers, it was a bit hard because we could not continue engaging them. We had no market at that particular moment. But what I remember, we decided to compensate all outgrowers who actually had produce on the ground, and they signed the contracts with us. So that was a loss to the organization, but we said, one day we will need to come back to these farmers and engage them for the second time. So if we don't pay them, it means if COVID gets to an end, we won't be having trust on them. So we paid them actually from the little that we had at that particular moment. But as I mentioned, on the other side of COVID, for us, we thought now we have this cold storage infrastructures. With the MEDA support, we managed to get trucks which we were using to collect vegetables from farms. And now thoughts started coming like, what can we do? Are we really stopping this business for good, or we can come up with another idea? And that's where we decided to go into, of course, COVID taught us diversification. Initially, we were 100% into export market, but we said, can we look at what can be done in Tanzania? And we decided to come up with an idea of selling bananas. It was a very new thing, and I would say even our employees could not understand, like, are we moving from exporting vegetables, now we are going into selling bananas? But of course, we had to take that chance. And what we did, we used the same infrastructures we had. We just needed to change the usage. Instead of using the cold part, now we are turning it into the hot part, and we started using our infrastructures to ripen bananas. And I would say it was a very good decision that we made, because it has taken us back to the local market. And now we are having more than 3,000 smallholder farmers in 2 regions, northern part of the country, Kilimanjaro and Mbeya, and we are sourcing fresh bananas from them. And actually, we have opened another branch in addition to what we had before COVID, and it is in Dar. And now we are distributing these ripened bananas to vendors, and we have a total of 1,200 vendors, majority of them being women, who are actually depending on Jibri as a source of bananas every single day. And I would say with this particular idea, which happened to work, not even like how we expected, we have managed to help farmers with the reducing post-harvest losses. Now they are sure that they have market with Jibri. Every single day we have our trucks in Mbeya and Kilimanjaro getting raw bananas from farmers. And then something else, these women vendors who used to go to the market every single day, now they are sure Jibri truck will pass by and deliver bananas for them. And we look at it, of course, as something which we are really grateful COVID came. Now, in terms of sustainability, we are not only depending on the export side, but we are sure on the local market, we have this business which is growing. As much as it's not yet where we would want it to be, it has just started. It is our second year now, but we're looking at it as something which can really grow, and we are seeing a huge potential. On the other side, in terms of diversification, it got to a point where we learned COVID is not going anywhere. It's going to be here for a long time. So we said, what are we going to do to be able to adapt to it? So we thought initially we were only having vegetables, but can we add more crops into our portfolio? So we decided to add avocados, and as of now we have 2,000 farmers who are supplying avocados to us. And instead of only depending on Europe, now we are also exporting to India. And as I said, we are in the local market with the banana business, but we actually had to think even further. Yes, we are dealing with fresh produce, and these are the challenges which have happened. You never know what will happen tomorrow morning. Now we are struggling with the inputs because of Ukraine and Russia war. Of course, cost of fertilizer have gone up. What else can we do? So we decided to tap into value addition, and we have just started this small initiative where with our avocado farmers in Tanzania, actually what is happening, we are producing more than 40,000 tons of avos, but very a little percent of which goes to export market. We said the rest of the avos actually are being wasted. Can we go into value addition? So we decided to now we have a very small machine, and we are manufacturing avocado oil. And with the avocado oil, of course, the advantage is it's not perishable. So even if another COVID a pandemic will come again, we'll be able to continue with this business. And of course, with avocados now, we are not only depending on air freight, but also we are doing sea freight. So COVID, as much as it brought us losses, as much as it took our hopes, we thought 2020 was supposed to be a good year for us. But despite of all these challenges we had to go through, I would say we are very happy with the fact that COVID came, except for that part where it was taking people's lives. That was a bad part. But for us, on the other way around, I think COVID has brought to us many more business opportunities.
Khadija, thank you so much. I'm certainly hearing that, there was that resilience, definitely nobody would want to think about COVID as when we think about all the lives that were lost, but the opportunity, the diversification, the value addition, the localization, looking at both international and local markets. So it is so exciting. I have some questions, but I will not ask them now because I'm hoping that as you continue to thrive, post-COVID, learning and pivoting, that you are having access to not just the inputs, but to the capital that you need, to actually make sure that you can grow, strengthen this business, and continue to be a huge employer, because I think you've employed many people. You said something at the beginning that you had to go out and pay those farmers so that they should be there after the COVID, and that COVID was always going to be with us. And that's really about decent work, that social safety net that they would have, knowing that even though they couldn't work or plant, they could still get some money. So this is really excellent. And we'll come back, at the end with some Q&A and everything. So let me go over now to Sunoko. And Sunoko, it is really my pleasure to meet with you and really excited to have you at this panel. I know that we are all here together in Indonesia and Salatiga, and so hoping and looking forward to meeting you in person. That we're here, but we're still on Zoom, and that we'll meet in person within the next few hours. So welcome to this panel. It is really special to have you because, as you know, MEDA started in 1953 by business people in North America who wanted to be able to sustainably support, the work that the dairy farmers were doing in Paraguay. And, when, you were proposed to come onto this panel and you accepted, we're extremely thrilled. In addition, we have the business persons forum that we're going to have on Sunday, so we're double thrilled. But as you come into this panel and everything, and as a business person, that is straddling both North America and Indonesia, would love to hear from you the impact of the pandemic on business and sort of that opportunity for post-COVID recovery. So I'll leave it to you to introduce yourself and then to please take us down into the subject line around COVID and business and how you experienced it.
Thank you. Again, my name is Sunoko Len. I'm a Chief Financial Officer of Trace Worldwide Corporation. Our business operates in the civil aviation. So it's non-governmental aviation. So we serve airlines business. And we are based in Los Angeles, California. Our company started in 1987. So it's now, this year we celebrated 35 years in existence. And likewise, Dorothy, it is my appreciation to you. You're willing to come and speak as MEDA World Conference will host the first conference for business leaders around the world. But sadly, because of the COVID restriction earlier in the year, the registration is limited. We do not get the participation from North America or Europe because their numbers of participants are limited. And just to attend MEDA World Conference, mostly pastors, so the spot for the non-pastors or non-church delegates are limited. But we're still excited. So far as of today, we will have over 70 local, national Indonesian that will attend that business leaders gathering on Sunday, post-closing of MEDA World Conference. The reason I mentioned this because in my volunteer role, I serve as treasurer for MEDA World Conference, who hosts this event this year in Salatiga. So Dorothy, my appreciation that you accept our invitation to speak at the business leaders gathering. And also the goal, the mandate that I received from Cesar Garcia, the president of MEDA World Conference, is to how to network business leaders in the Mennonite Anabaptist church related to come together and then create the social impact in the communities where each member churches of MEDA World Conference exists. So I'm really excited to be part of this conversation too. Now back to my role and my company. COVID is a nightmare. I just want to be honest. A few years ago, Harvard Business Review mentioned, God forbid, these 4 storms happen together. They call it VUCA. It's an acronym: V Victor, U Uncle, C Charlie, A Apple, VUCA. It's a storm of volatility, and COVID does that. The easiest evidence, if you look at the stock market, on March 20, 2020, it just crashed. Values of the stock, some of them can be as cheap as 20% of its highest. And then the second storm is uncertainty. What is the future? And the third storm is complexity. And navigating COVID is not easy. And then lastly is the storm of ambiguity. What strategies to assess this? No one is certain one strategy will fit. So those 4 storms collided at COVID. And then just to give you the background, in my industry, civil aviation, just before COVID, the airlines are flying at maximum capacity. after COVID happened, after March 20, when the US started to shut down, the airline traffic down significantly to 10% of its daily activities.
Yeah.
And then stayed out about 40% of its capacity throughout 2019, 2020 to mid 2021. So the first thing our senior management got together, this is unprecedented in our company history and also probably in the world post World War II. So we have to be honest. Do we have cash flow to sustain if COVID lasted more than a year? Because no one knows how long this pandemic will carry on. So we just assume that this pandemic will carry on at least for 2 years, that people not traveling and airline business still down under 40%. But in our thankfulness, because our company is a manufacturing wrap, we do not produce products, but we take US products overseas. So our business model is we represent US manufacturers that provide products that go into airlines, airplanes, and then we introduce them to foreign market. So when we started 37 years ago, we represent until today the 8 US manufacturers, primary US manufacturers that provide aircraft interiors, from seatings, overhead bin, food cart, oven, refrigeration, and also the wheel and brake for the airplanes. So 8 different US manufacturers. So when we represent US manufacturers, our business model is we need to be compensated. And this business takes a long cycle, at minimum 3 years from the product introduction and then to get the purchase from the airlines. So in return, we ask US manufacturers, when they don't have the market access in certain market, non-US, we ask for exclusivity. So no other wrap or distributors can compete. So even in our own history, we have shifted 3 times. The first 10 years, our business is in Europe. We serve British Airways, KLM, Lufthansa. But then when the market developed, US manufacturers become greedy. So they said, okay, now we started to see the returns, but we don't want just to have one representative. We need multiple representatives. So if you fail to win the business from KLM, maybe the other representative can win for us. So that happens because no contract is permanent. So every 5 years we will be reviewed. So at the second review, we got said you need to give up your exclusivity and reduce commission. So how do we handle that? We tell them we're not giving up. There are other markets in the world. So in our 35 years, we have moved from Europe to Japan, and then we're currently in the 3rd market in Russia. So if I can fast forward to today, not only we have suffered COVID within this last 2 years, but 2022 on March 1, we got a double shock. Our primary market now in Russia got shut down because we sell our products to Russian airlines, Aeroflot, Siberian Airlines, all the major private airlines in Russia. They are our clients. So how we handle this uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity, and volatility. Cash flow is the king. So when we first met in March 2020, we review our cash flow. Can our cash flow provide our sources of revenues to sustain the business and then to be ready to go into the market again? So unlike my colleague earlier, Hadija, who did not lay off people, unfortunately, in our situation, we have to let go so that we can have room to sustain the market shock. So we have 2 markets, 2 product segments. We call it product segments because they are different products. So one is aviation airline product, which is the aircraft interiors from seating to galleys equipments and wheel and brake of the airplanes. And the second product is what we call mission equipment business. That serve primarily helicopter operated by law enforcement agency. We operate in North America, India, Latin America. But when COVID happened, we have to be honest. Do we have the cash flow to carry on for 24 months at least? And we try not to borrow money because we believe if the market never turn around, then we have debt to service. And it is our ethos in our company too. We will never allow the company to go bankrupt, and we will never allow to fail our creditors. We, even if you remember, the North American market really hit when the September 11 happened. So we were shocked too at September 11. At that time, we carried a huge debt. It's 1-to-1 to our equity, and almost bankrupt the company. So that gave us the lesson. We do not want to carry excessive debt, and we do not want to carry to continue to borrow during this uncertainty. So we have to let go our employees. So we, from the two product product offering, the mission equipment business and airline business, we choose to maintain airline business because Russia has been our harvest since 2012. We invested 10 years in Russia. We started in early 2000s, and then started to produce results, significant results from 2012 on, when Russian airlines to start to buy the manufacturing products that we represent. So we have to shut down our business segment, the mission equipment business, to law enforcement agency in North America, Latin America, and India. And that's how we survive. And I have to be honest, it is by God's grace. The Russian market come back earlier than the US market. By fall 2020, just 6 months later, the Russian market started to come back. While US still operate 10% of its capacity, Russian market has operated 50% of its capacity. And by middle 2020, I'm not sure, so Dorothy or some, you can give me a signal if my time is almost up before to transition to the opportunities. I'll be grateful, because I lost track when I talk. My wife said, you are a talker, you can talk on and on and on, and then with probably sometimes boring the audience. So please, Dorothy, if you can signal me 5 minutes, if my time is at the 5 minutes count, then I'll appreciate it. Then I'll transition to the strategy and then also opportunities. So we're grateful. The Russian market come back strongly. By fall 2021, it's almost 100% capacity, just for domestics. The Aeroflot Airlines still struggle because they serve primarily international, but the Aeroflot domestic market has come back 90%. Also, the other 4 major airlines in Russia has come back to 90% of capacity. So we were excited. Their cash flow has come back for exceeding our projected cash flow, because we assume no business for at least 24 months. But by December 2021, we exceeded our forecast 2 times. And in fact, 2021 is one of our most profitable years in 35 years operations. But 3 months later, situation changes. Now we really face unprecedented, even bigger than COVID, when the market for Russia completely shut down. On March 1, we got the letter from the State Department. We have to cease and desist to offer US products in Russia, because Russia sanctioned, US government and its allies sanctioned 3 market sectors in Russia. No US or European companies can sell in the 3 sectors: technology, transportation, and telecommunication, and our business in transportation. So we got shut down. Now I want to turn to opportunities. So how can we survive when our primary market, after closed down 1 business segment, mission equipment business, and now we are down to 1 single market in Russia, and also 1 single market segment, which is a civil aviation aircraft interiors. So we decided, like we always happen in the shifts. So we just went back to our US manufacturers. Yes, this market is closed, but we have 35 years track record with you. We have carried your products in Europe. We have introduced your product in Japan. And now you can see the results in Russia. Just to give you perspective, the huge market in Russia. After COVID, 2022 will be the first year Russian will receive new airlines, new airplanes. Aeroflot alone will receive 13 Airbus 350. And just the seats alone for Airbus 350 is 55 million. So 13 times 5 is 65 million. And then on top of that, we just won the contract in January for 2 separate airlines in Russia. One airline is committed to buy 50 737 new airplanes, 737-800, and the third airline is committed to buy another 50 737 MAX. And those are big contracts that will carry us until 2028. But March 1 stopped. And we never know if we ever be allowed to go back to Russia, because we never know. We don't know how long this war will carry on. So we go back. Is my time up?
No.
Okay.
Just finish, because I think it is what you're saying is so critical. How you were able to pivot, and then all these external circumstances and forces beyond your control. This is the transportation industry. And I would want to make the link between transportation and health and agriculture. No, so please finish.
All right. So now I will promise I will complete it in 3 minutes. Opportunities. Yeah, so we went back to our US manufacturers. We said, you have seen our records. We introduced your products. You got good returns in Europe, Japan, and Russia. So now Russia being shut down, we want to carry your products to the new market. And then this is a good time to start an airline. So our colleagues, maybe Hadija, if you're looking for the new market segment, you can go into airline business. This is true. And COVID create opportunities. And this at this moment, they still consider a difficult market. Even airlines started to fly again. Just to give you an example, in the past, if you have to rent or lease 737, it's a $1 million. But during this time, you can get a discount of 30%. So it is a good time to start an airline, because you can get a discount by leasing an aircraft and then start offering services. Because currently, anywhere in the world, you see cancellations because lack of airplanes and lack of capacity. So especially in the emerging market, this is a good opportunity. So we go back, hey, manufacturers, there's a good market in Azerbaijan, in Kazakhstan, in Uzbek, because our engineers speak Russian, they are Russian engineers. So by focusing on those markets, it creates opportunities for them to continue to be employed. Summary. Like, I agree with my colleague Hadija. Yes, COVID is unprecedented, but it creates opportunities if you care to look. And then you need to move fast, because opportunity window sometimes is very small. And we are thankful that we have so far, we're still only the primary candidate to offer this 8 different products from our 8 US manufacturing client to go into Uzbek, Kazakhs, and Azerbaijan. And we also want to work with the local nationals in those countries, and then probably stimulate all the key business leaders, because currently they're still probably served by national airlines. And we know national airlines tend to be corrupt, and then we want to follow Foreign Corrupt Practice Act. So we are very careful in vetting our customers. So we're working with the government in those countries to create a competing private airlines, and then introduce them. This is the good market to go in, and then create market for our US manufacturers. So opportunities are there if you care to look, and then you need to work hard, because the opportunity windows is very narrow. And I will stop at that to allow questions.
Okay. Yes. No, thank you so much, Sunoko. I think certainly what I'm hearing is that resilience. You gave us the VUCA and everything, and how COVID brought each of those, that storm. It was the perfect culmination of all the storms. Then plus what's happening now globally with between Ukraine and Russia. So certainly, some of the takeaways is that, seize the opportunity. I heard it from Hadija, heard it from Veronica, hearing it from you. It's all about timing. It's about pivoting and figuring out what is needed so you can do it as quickly as possible. But the one thing that is also really important in all of this is access to finance. Because, Sunoko, I want to ask, because the airline industry is very expensive. So Hadija might say, well, she's trying to get more cold rooms. And now you're thinking about her getting a plane. Where's she going to get the money from? So just to say, who is out there, who is financing, who is taking this risk? Or how are you de-risking all this pivoting and change with those who have the capital?
Yeah, so we do not provide the capital because we are small business still. Our revenues is around $5 million a year because we got paid in commissions. So we just look and then network because Russia and CIS are so small countries. And then in aviation business, it's also a small community. Every time I walk the floor at the trade show, we have annual trade show. Almost everyone knows everyone, and then the players. So we look for the players who are interested to go into the new market, either North American or European investors. And then we tell them this is a market opportunities. Will you be interested? If you're interested, and we facilitate the conversation with the government agencies to receive the license to operate. And then probably also we ask for the government agency, do you recommend business leaders in your community, in your country, that are interested to start the new market? So we facilitate the conversation and then allow the parties that are interested to form the business ventures together and to go into the market.
Okay.
And sometimes you can so far in our dealings, there are always the state-owned business enterprises who wants to champion their local nationals in their business to thrive. They're very interested in the new market, and they're willing to take some equity in the companies.
Okay. All right. No, so I think we're going to sort of pause, and I'm going to ask, Lindsay, my colleague, has been watching to see if there are any questions in the chat. And I want to open it back up a little bit more to Hadija, if she has any additional comments to make, whilst we wait to hear from Lindsay, if there are any questions.
Yeah, thank you. Of course, the question which you just asked, where the money is coming from, it's what I was asking myself, like, yes, I want to go into banana business. I want to look for new opportunities, but where are we going to get money? Now we no longer have the business running. And I think I really need to say it. Banks were not willing to take risk on us. For them, it is business, and they were not willing to put money where they are not sure their money will come back. And I would say, if there is a time where we have been writing proposals to development partners, then this past 2 years has been, in a day we had to submit a proposal. And I really appreciate the part which has been played by development partners. I would say in a very large extent, they have secured small businesses. And in our case, of course, yes, we managed to get one partner who supported us. We were still completing the project we had with MEDA. MEDA was very flexible. We could go back to them and say, you know what, we were doing beans, but now we want to go into bananas, and they were very understanding. And maybe if not for them, then we wouldn't be able to do anything. So DPs really supported small businesses, but as well on our side, of course, we had to learn to negotiate with our customers. So there was a time when we wanted to send avocados to Europe, and we were pushing our customers, can you give us down payment at least 50%? Because with 50%, at least you can buy avos from farmers and be able to pay them and send your container to Europe and wait for a month until when a container gets to Europe. And unfortunately, of course, with Russia and Ukraine, then there was a queue for containers. Sometimes they will tell you, like, it won't take 1 month. We're adding 10 more days. So it has been a little bit challenging, especially for financiers, to decide to give you funding. But I would say there is patient capital, which is out there, and BPs have been very helpful on securing these small businesses like ours.
Okay. That's really good to hear. Thank you, Hadija. Thank you so much. Yeah. And any
Hi,
question that might have come?
yes, hi, Dorothy. Just to say, we got one question in the chat, whether or not Sunoco was able to get any ARPA funds from the support funds from the government, and Hadija, whether or not you were able to get any COVID support funds from the government in Tanzania as well.
Yes, so like every business, a small business in America during COVID, U.S. government offer what they call PPP loan. To allow the company to continue to operate and then try to maintain the employees. We applied and we got the PPP loan. But now we just went back to the government because those who have applied for PPP, they can still continue to apply for the emergency disaster loan, the second portion of the loan, because the PPP can be forgiven if you meet certain qualifications, and we have received that forgiveness. With the emergency disaster loan, you have to pay back, but the government is very gracious. They give you 30 years to repay. Yes, we did apply within a few days after March 1, because also the window for the second EIDL loan is closing as of June 30th. So we applied within 5 days, and so far we're still waiting for the government to fund us. So we still operate without loans, and we try not to borrow money.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Sunoco. What about you, Hadija? Did the government of Tanzania step in?
Yeah, so on our case, it's a bit different. As much as my colleague was running away from a loan, on our case, we were looking for those loans. And we did not get funding directly from the government, but we managed to get a loan from a bank which is owned by the government, Tanzania Agricultural Development Bank. And I would say one of the things which the government has really pushed is making sure interest rate in agriculture loans get to single digit. Initially, rates were ranging between 15 to 20 something %, but now they have been able to push it to a single digit. And I think a little bit, if you compare this period during pandemic and before pandemic, at least now, when you're not able to pay your installment, you can go and negotiate with them and give them a reason why you have not been able to do that, and they somehow understand. So it did not came directly from the government, but we got a small loan from Tanzania Agricultural Development Bank.
Right. Okay. No, thank you. Thank you for that, Hadija. Very good to know. Any other questions, Lindsay, that might have come in?
I have a question for both of you. Given the challenges over the past couple of years, what have you learned about yourself and your own abilities in going through this? Just looking back and reflecting, I'm just curious to hear what you've learned most about yourself and your abilities.
Hadija, you want to start?
Yes, I can go first. Yeah, so I think I was tested as a leader. I was tested really in ways I did not expect. Number one, I'm very young, actually. I am 31 years old. I have been fortunate enough to be offered job opportunities. And during COVID-19, I got like 3 job offers. And somehow I was asking myself, am I taking these job offers, or I am continuing with this business, which is supporting smallholder farmers, providing hundreds of employment opportunities to people? So it was a bit challenging to me. And I would say, I think I was a bit resilient in ways I did not thought I was before. I continued to hold on. As much as there are times when whatever decisions I was making, I was not even sure myself that those decisions will give us good results. So it was being resilient, but also pushing beyond limits. I would say there are times when we had no salaries and I could accept consulting jobs. I would just go and consult and make money and come back and pay salaries. So for the first time, I was going out there to do everything possible just to make sure the business is surviving. And apart from that, it's the time where thoughts of doing more to the community, even before pandemic, we were not thinking of doing more to the community. Now I've started a youth incubation hub, which is called the Agredo. It started during pandemic. I said, yes, I'm having all these challenges. In one way or another, I'm trying to overcome these challenges, but how can I be of support to the young people who are in the same sector as me out there? And together, as much as we don't have answers, but at least I can share what I know and we can move forward. So with that incubation hub, in a very amazing way, we got 2 partners who accepted to support our projects, supported more than 100 youth entrepreneurs. The USAID supported us with a very small funding. And of course, it's working now, it's moving by its own. So COVID, I would not have one word to explain COVID, but I'm glad as much as it did not take our lives, very sorry for those who lost their loved ones, but COVID has been a fire on my side.
Yeah, for me, is you just need to be hopeful, stay hopeful, because if you started to doubt that your business can survive, it just create a false expectation. So I just try to equip myself to remain hopeful, and then also encourage my partners, because I'm not the only owner. I have 2 other business owners with me, my business partner, because 3 of us started the company. Actually, none of us are the owners, but we are colleagues, and then we have been working together for 28 years. The owner of the company, the original owner of the company, John Douglas, passed away a year ago. But a few years before, he already put in a succession plan that 3 of us who have been with him the longest will carry on beyond his life. So that's the reason why we refuse to borrow money. We want to carry his legacy. We do not want to bankrupt the company after we inherited the company just for a little over a year. Actually, less than a year, because he passed away on March 29, 2021, and we received cease and desist from U.S. State Department on March 1. So we want to carry his legacy. We don't want to borrow money. We want to carry on. And for me, I just want to stay hopeful that there's a future for Trace Worldwide. And how can I stay hopeful in this difficult environment? I mentioned to you the 4 storms, how to navigate Trace Worldwide in these 4 storms. My resource has to be spiritual resource. And I have gone back more than once, over and over, to my favorite Psalm, Psalm 27. Because Psalm 27 said, Jesus is my light and my salvation, whom shall I fear? So regardless this dark days of these 4 storms, I believe God's light will shine through, and he will navigate Trace Worldwide out of these 4 storms. So that's my first resource, spiritual resources, by turning over my everyday matter to God. And then secondly, stay busy outside my current business. So about the same time, I joined the board of directors of Institute Management Accountant as part of their global board directors. So I want to keep me busy, and then also give every opportunity for me to share with others where my business knowledge can be relevant to some people in those part of the world, because this global board directors of Institute Management Accountant cover I think almost 75 countries, and then many of them now in the emerging market like Middle East and Asia. So keep me busy, keep me hopeful to see that God is still moving despite pandemic, despite chaos in Ukraine, Russia and Ukraine. The business goes on, and then how you can be the light in the world. So that's keep me hopeful.
There's a comment in the chat just mentioning how incredibly inspiring you both are. I have one more question. And just thinking about that, I'm sure there's a lot of people who are listening in who are maybe want to be entrepreneurs or are curious about it. You know, what advice would you give them, given particularly where you are now and what we've all been through? You know, maybe just some sage advice for people who are interested in becoming entrepreneurs.
I can go first, because I think I'm the oldest among the presenters, and then they said, as you grow older, you can grow wiser. My my number one business principle, you have to be honest. You cannot, your trust is number one asset. If you if you fail and then violate the trust between you and, in my case, I serve both the manufacturing clients in the US and then the airlines are my customers. So Trace Worldwide must be trustworthy, can be trusted, because once you violated the trust, when the trust is gone, you lost every business opportunities. Again, we operate in a very small market. Once you are in the market, people knows you. So if Trace Worldwide lost the trust, it lost every opportunity to work again in the aviation business. So trust is number one. Protect that trust. And how you protect it, never oversell. You just need to be honest your capacity. And then when it is beyond your capacity, you have to be honest to your US manufacturer. We cannot serve that market. We cannot serve that customer. And especially if you deal with the partially of the government-owned partially of that airlines, you have to admit this is a difficult market. Don't oversell it. And then sometimes you have to walk away from the opportunity because, again, you need to be transparent, keep the trust, and you don't want to go into trouble with US government. You need to be always legally compliant. Trust is the key.
No, thank you for that. You know, Hadija?
Yeah,
Advice?
wow. At least I learned from the wise, the wise man who was just speaking.
An old man.
Yeah, the old man and wise. The older you get, the wiser you become. I think, yes, trust is number one. But to me, in addition to that, I think people, the network you're building is very important. If you're starting a business, I think as much as we are focusing on building the business itself, but I think it's very important to have strategic relationships with people, because it's people who will help you when things are not looking good. And thinking of that, when COVID came, actually, there are times when we were indebted to our smallholder farmers, and we had to go back to them and say, you know what, we'll pay you. You just need to trust us, give us time. And most of them, they could understand us. We had a loan from the bank, as I said, from TADB. We had to go to them and say, yes, we are going to pay, just to trust us. And you realize that those people who had trust on you, those people whom you have good relationship with, you will be there to make sure your business is not dying. And I would say even others, all opportunities which were coming, it's not like Hadija was the best, but people wanted to give us those opportunities just to make sure the business is surviving. So building strategic relationships is very important, but hard work plays a key role for a small business. There are times when you have to forget sleeping. I don't know if it is for everyone, but I know in our case that has worked. You have to forget weekends. You have to forget vacations, at least to a point where now your business has systems, your business is strong enough, as much as if you're not there, things will still continue to move forward. But you have to give it your all and believe that things will turn out positive. Thank you so much for reminding me of Psalm 27. I think faith in God is also very, very important. And I would say in my case, there is no time which have been closer to God like during COVID-19, because a lot of things have happened, and there are times when you are doubting your own faith. So that's where you just need God to chip in and help you moving forward.
Yeah. No, thank you both so much. You know, what a great question, Lindsay. And I think it speaks to our shared humanity. You know, whether we're Christian, Muslim, that shared humanity of that we're human beings. And, you know, we believe in that greater creature, and that once there's hope, you know, there's that bigger force that is there watching over all of us is so, so important. And I think one of the things that, you know, for me personally attracted me to MEDA, you know, I'm a Christian, but I grew up and came up from families in Africa where Christianity had come into us through a colonial pathway. And so I could have been a Christian, I could have been a Muslim, I could have been a Baptist. I was born into a Presbyterian family. My mother was Roman Catholic. And as I listen to everybody here who is doing business and everything, so irrespective of that, it is really about, as you said, that shared humanity. It is about that trust. It's that honesty and integrity that we all bring to the table as values. So I'm really excited, and hoping that as we continue to think about what really business solutions mean, as we try to address the different issues around the world as an organization, that someone like me who, as I said, I grew out of a church where business and church did not go together. If you were going to be a good Christian, they thought you could not be a good business person. And it's because maybe business was not seen in the light of truth and that integrity that, Sunoko, you just talked about, and so on. And I do have family that are also, they're Muslim. I have my sister, cousin who are married and they're Muslims, and I have Muslim relatives. But it was very interesting what the Muslim faith had done. They had actually come in with a lot of business into, communities. And, I know that this Mennonite World Conference is about it's about coexistence. And I think that business is one of those places of intersection where we can actually foster that coexistence. The other piece I also believe is that we also talk, about in the Anabaptist world it's about peace. And, when communities can thrive, people are doing well, then in many ways we are proactively putting the foundation, the ingredients to continue to build peaceful communities. So I'm hoping that, through this conversation, it is not been that, business is this thing that is far away, but that, COVID has come to help us look at it in a stronger way, but that it is also that intersection and that place that allows us to really see where our commonalities are and everything. So before we have about, I think about 5 more minutes before we round up and everything, I just want to check again with Lindsay if there were any questions that came in that I might have missed.
Nothing in addition anymore, Dorothy. Thank you.
All right. So then I would just want to definitely say, we know Veronica left us because she had to go jump to another meeting. Again, she's access to finance. She's doing it not at a big, at a different scale and in Latin America. But I just want to ask, Sunoko, any closing comments? Hadija, any closing comments?
Yes, Adija, I don't mind if you go first. I can go second.
Okay.
Yeah, on my side, I would say, as I mentioned before, I know as much as challenges will always be there when it comes to business, some of them, of course, we can anticipate that they will come. Some of them will come like how COVID-19 attacked our businesses. But I think the most important thing is having faith, believing things will turn out positive. As much as, yes, we managed to go into other activities and we managed to get the business back together, but still we are not there yet. We are still struggling. Now our major issue is how we can still raise our resources to be able to upscale what we are doing now. And we are not giving up on that. We still believe that things will turn out positive. We'll be able to get to the position where we used to be before. And what I would advise many other business owners, I think it's very important to be resilient. And these challenges, as I mentioned on my very first point when I was explaining about Jibri, these challenges are coming to test us. These challenges is what define leaders. They will always come. It might not be COVID. It can be your employees. It can be profits are no longer there. It can be anything. So challenges will always be there. The most important thing is being resilient. In our case, I'm so happy with the fact that as much as COVID came, our initial goal of being of importance to the community is still going on. I'm happy with the fact now, despite of COVID, we are still supporting smallholder farmers, those ones who are struggling with market. We are still supporting the vendors who had to wake up in the morning and go get bananas. Now they're sure that Gibri will supply bananas to them, and they would really want to, I mean, our vision now is to see we are not only in Dar, but rather we are in many other regions in the country. And coming to avocado processing, we know this is the way forward for us. And as much as now it might be hard in one way or another, but we're still very positive that this also will come out positive. So I think just to close, I would love to encourage everyone, just keep on pushing, keep on moving forward. Tomorrow might not be as clear as you would want it to be, but just have faith, things will turn out positive.
Okay. No, thank you very much, Hadija. Sunoko?
Now, being an old man, I learned also from an older man. My boss, John Douglas, who passed away a year ago. My boss and I walked very closely, and I learned a lot from him. But one value that he kept emphasizing to me and my two business partners is, what will you pass on? Because he said, it is not just about you. So he's a great man. He's successful in building the company from zero, and then have taken the company to Europe, Japan, Russia, Latin America, and India. But it is never about himself. If he wants to make himself rich, he can pay himself 20-to-1 ratio to the lowest paid employee in our companies. But he never does that. In every good year, he will distribute the profits. Yes, being the president, of course, he get the most, but he never more than paid 20-to-1 ratio within himself and employees. And always, what will you pass on? So that's the reason why early on in his business, he has created a buy-sell agreement between the company and his trust. So at his passing, the company will receive, because it is funded through life insurance, so the company will receive the proceeds and then buy the shares from his estate. And it is done well because with a good planning, and he makes sure that this company will go on and continue beyond his lifetime. So his question to us always, the three of us, what will you pass on? So I try to remember that, and I try to act that. And Dorothy, you excellently mentioned that business should be a place where it's a shared humanity, and then where we can be a blessing to one another. So like in this case, my two business partners, if you say a war brings divisions, yes. But my business partner, Irina, is Ukrainian Jews. He was born in Ukraine, but the family emigrated when she was 17 to United States and become US citizens. And then my third business partner is Russian national, Vera. But war should not divide friendship. In fact, they become closer as sisters, because the war is only benefit the power, the people in power. But the most suffering individual will be ordinary citizens, like our 10 Russian engineers. But how can we be providing that to facilitate the continuing friendship where two different nationalities are colliding? Just focusing, what will you pass on? So we need to pass on kindness. We need to pass on generosity. We need to pass on. There's always hope in the world. Despite all this chaos, the world will turn better if we trust each other, and then we focus on the divine creator, that the world will get better as we move on.
No, thank you so much. You know, we focus on the divine creator, and the world will actually continue to be better as we move on. So I think you've both said it all. And I think we have just a minute. I just want to again say thank you. Thank you to the Mennonite World Conference for giving us at MEDA this platform so that, as we look at what's happening at the conference, business is not something that should be on the sidelines. It's something that brings that shared humanity together. So we're really excited. And to say thank you, I want to thank my colleagues, Carol, Lindsay, Krista, Susie, everybody at the background on MEDA side. There's so many people who supported us to get us to this point. And again, thank you to the panelists. Thank you to all the listeners in all the listening sessions and those who were able to log on online. Wendy, we appreciate you for joining us and everything. So thank you very much to all our volunteers, who've been supporting the technical piece and just making sure that the Men on Oil Well Conference is coming together. We say thank you. So with that, I want to leave it at that and look forward, to meeting you, Sunoko, in person. And Hadija, we hope to see you soon.
Yeah, I may not see you tomorrow,
Thank you so
Dorothy,
much.
because we're located in the separate hotel and separate cities. But I will see you on Sunday in Semarang. And I'm looking forward to your presentation too on Sunday.
All right.
Blessings.
All right. Okay.